بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. This is lesson number 16 from the Haa'iyyah of Ibn Abi Dawud rahimahullah ta'ala, and inshallah today we're going to pick up where we left off from the last lesson from line number 27. So we're going to try to do 27, 28, because in the last lesson I spoke about the ifrat wa tafrit. So here he's going to mention the two groups that went to extremes in the understanding of I guess you could say the fa'il al-kabira, right? The person who falls into like the major sins, and also the understanding of what iman is, because this was the major issue with the mur'jiah. So here he says, قال الناظم رحمه الله تعالى, he said, ولا تعتقد رأي الخوارج إنه مقال لمن يهواه يردي ويفضح ولا تكو مرجيا لعوبا بدينه ألا إنما المرجي بالدين يمزح. So here he said, first off, he said, ولا تعتقد. All right, so don't believe, like don't make this your aqidah, the opinions of the khawaarij. إنه مقال لمن يهواه. And these are just like, if you look at the khawaarij and their statements and what they say and what they believe, then these are only statements that come from people that follow their desires. These are only beliefs that, from people that follow their desires. They're not following the adillah, because if they follow the adillah, they will see that their opinion is incorrect. So, and this is why he said, إِنَّهُ مَقَالٌ لِمَنْ يَهْوَاهُ يُرَدِي وَيَفْضَحُ. So the first word that he mentioned here, he said, after yahwahu, he said yuradi. Yuradi, it comes from the verb arada, yuradi. Alright, and the masdar is irada'an. Alright, and this, it has different meanings. From amongst the meanings, it can mean halaka, and it can mean asqata. Like, for example, if a person is, if you were to push somebody into a well, you say aradahu fil bi'r. Aradahu fil bi'r. That you asqatahu fiha, that you dropped them in a well, that you pushed them and made them fall into a well. So in this case, but they're falling into the hellfire, because of their statements and what they do with the Muslims. He said, مَقَالًا لِمَنْ يَحْوَاهُ يُرَدِي. Alright, so yuradi wa yafdahu. So yuradi ila what? Ila what? Jahannam. So, they'll be dropped. They're going to be dropped into the hellfire. Wallahu a'lam. Wallahu musta'an. So this is the understanding of what that part means. As far as the meaning of yafdahu, alright, and this comes from a different word, and it's fadaha yafdahu fadhan. Alright, and of course, most of the Arabs, they use the word al-fadiha. Al-fadiha is like, that the bad things about a person become exposed, right? And this is fadaha, is that you bring to light the things that a person is doing and you show them, you expose them to the people. So this becomes a fadiha for a person, so if you see like a person, he's giving dawah, and then he's running around doing some things behind the scenes that aren't, Allah musta'an. As we've seen a lot of this stuff come out. You see it come out on social media all the time. This is what you call fadiha, because what they're doing, it becomes exposed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposes them. It's not the people that expose them, Allah exposes them, so Allah musta'an. So this is the word fadaha yafdahu. And as far as the exposing thing comes, alright, so the first part about the aradat, because this type of belief, so yuradihim, if he, ila nar, because their actions are gonna drive them to the hellfire, drive them like yajurru bihim ila nar, like basically just drag them because of their statements and their aqidah and the things that they're doing in the dhulm, the oppression that they're doing against the Muslims. Now, of course, we know, again, we spoke about this in the last lesson, that everybody that falls into these, but see, they fall into this takfir, and that's a very, very dangerous thing, because then you're making the blood and the wealth and everything of the Muslim halal when you make takfir of them. And that's a very dangerous thing. And, and you get these people that cry on social media, the people, they're saying that they're going to do this, like a little bunch of crybabies, but then they go and make takfir of other people and they do the same thing. So, Allahu musta'an. So, the fadaha, it comes because they themselves, they get exposed all the time as being khawaarij, even though they try to slip in with the guys of Ahl Sunnah and things, but they always, you always find them when certain issues come up, they slip up and they expose themselves. And then it's like, then you start to press, then you take that one issue and now you start to like make them like discuss that one issue, and then, then you just open up like the door to everything. You start to see everything that they're about. Allahu musta'an. And we see this when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَأَرَيْنَاكَهُمْ فَلَعَرَفْتَهُمْ بِسِيمَاهُمْ. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about he's informing them about the hypocrites. And he said, if we willed, we'll show them to you. And وَلَتَعْرِفَنَّ فَلَعَرَفْتَهُمْ بِسِيمَاهُمْ. And you know them by their signs, by, the things that they, that they're specific for them. Like the signs that show that they're hypocrites. And then he said, وَلَتَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ أَعْمَالَكُمْ. So he said, وَلَتَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. And this is the shahid, that you'll know them when they make a clear statement. Now, the word lahn in the Arabic language, it can be used for, a kalimat, it can mean for fasaha, and it can also mean that a person makes a mistake. It's one of those, it has opposing meanings, and it depends on the context that the person uses the word in. So we can see like that type of usage, like for example in the hadith of Sahih Bukhari from Salama radiallahu anha, in which she said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Innama ana bashar." He said, "I'm human." وَإِنَّكُمْ تَخْتَصِمُونَ إِلَيَّ. And you bring your arguments to me, because of people arguing over land, or they're arguing over money that one person might owe the other. These types of khusumat, that they need a judge between them. He said, إِلَيَّ وَلَعَلَّ بَعْضَكُمْ أَنْ يَكُونَ أَلْحَنْ بِحُجَّتِهِ مِنْ بَعْضٍ. And he said, and here he used the word alhan. And he said that, and it might be that that one person is more articulate and he explains the issue better than the other, min ba'd fa'aqdi ala nahwi ma asma'. And then he said, and I judge based on what I hear, because as we're humans, we can only judge based on what the zahir, Now for us it's different. With the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he judged, alhamdulillah, he had the wahi, but here he's saying fa'aqdi ala nahwi ma asma'. So I judge based on what I hear. فَمَنْ قَضَيْتُ لَهُ مِنْ حَقِّ أَخِيهِ شَيْئًا. So whoever I judge, I pass a judgment, and I give him the rights of his brother. فَلَا يَأْخُذْهُ. And then he shouldn't take it. فَإِنَّمَا أَقْطَعُ لَهُ قِطَعَةً مِنَ النَّارِ. Because I'm only cutting off for him a piece of the hellfire. But the shahid here is that they use the word al-han. So here the word lahan, here it means to be articulate. And you could also use the word lahan, if you talk about the person making like kathrat al-lahan fi lughat al-arabiyyah, is that he makes a lot of mistakes in his usage of the Arabic language. So it has opposing meanings based on the context. But the actual stronger, the main meaning is al-fasaha, that the person, he articulates his idea. So we look at the statement about the munafiqeen, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَتَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. So what do we understand? And that when they speak clearly and they articulate their ideas without trying to hide them, in that time, then you'll see what they're really about. And you see that with all of these groups, when certain issues come up, they can't hide their beliefs. So with the khawaarij, when you talk about the rulers, you talk about certain things, it's gonna come out of them. And then when you start to really focus your attention on that, then then it becomes even clearer. So Allahu musta'an. And same thing when you get other people, because these other groups, they try to hide. And they try to put on this guise and, we follow the sunnah and we do this. And then when you dig deeper, then you start to find out what they're really about. Allahu musta'an. And they're just really, the whole thing about the sunnah is just to to dupe the people. It's like, why do you have to pretend that you're something that you're not? And then the people that are in the masajid teaching hadith, these people start insulting those people. But they're following the sunnah. Allahu musta'an. They don't teach hadith. You see, these people never use adillah in their speech. They never talk with adillah. Allahu musta'an. So he said, وَلَا تَعْتَقِدُ رَعْيَ الْخَوَارِجِ أَنَّهُ مَقَالٌ لِمَنْ يَحْوَاهُ يُرْضِي وَيَفْضَحُ. He said, وَلَا تَكُوا مُرْجِيًّا لَعُوبًا بِدِينِهِ. And don't be from the mur'jiah. لَعُوبًا بِدِينِهِ. La'ub is a sighat al-mubalagha. It's one of those that shows that the person does this a lot. La'ub comes from the word la'ab, that he's just playing games with the religion. He's playing games with the religion. He said, "Ala innama al-mur'ji'u bid-dini yamzahu." He said that verily that the mur'ji, the people from the mur'jiah, that they're just joking. Like like with the deen, it's just a joke for them. It's not, because they don't take it seriously. Allahu musta'an. And so you see, like the asl, the origin, the foundations of the mur'jiah, of the ghulat, of the ones that went to extremes, were the people that said that it's enough for a person to only have the ma'rifah, to have to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He alone needs to be worshipped. And once you have that in your heart, and khalas, it doesn't matter what your actions are, what you do, what you say. You could be akfar min fir'aun, but for them, you're a believer and you go to Jannah. This is what they believe. And of course, this is from amongst the ghulat. And then you get like people again, because that's rejected. It was rejected. And then the people, they try to come later on and try to water it down a little bit more. And then they take the actions, like the actions out of iman. So out of the whole understanding and the definition and the ta'rif of iman, they take the action out. They say the action is a different thing, and that iman is not about the actions, it's about the beliefs and the statements, but even those statements themselves are actions. But then they take the beliefs. And this is why we understand from the aqeedah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah that the understanding of al-iman is a statement with the tongue. First off, it starts with a belief in the heart, then it's a statement of the tongue, and then it's actions. In al-amal bil-jawarih, and the actions with the limbs. So you cannot have iman without action. You cannot have iman. You can't say la ilaha illallah and then you don't act on it. Allah musta'an. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, He said, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الْقِبْلَةَ الَّتِي كُنْتَ عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يَتَّبِعُ الرَّسُولَ مِمَّنْ يَنْقَلِبُ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ وَإِنْ كَانَتْ لَكَبِيرَةً إِلَّا عَلَى الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِالنَّاسِ لَرَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. We made you ummah in the middle ground. You're not going to the extremes. You're not mufarrat and you're not mufrat. Like we talked about in the last lesson. He said, لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, that you can be a witness over the people. وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا, and that the messenger will be a witness over you. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الْقِبْلَةَ الَّتِي كُنْتَ عَلَيْهَا, and we did not make the qibla that you were upon it before, which is to Bayt al-Maqdis, إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يَتَّبِعُ الرَّسُولَ مِمَّنْ يَنْقَلِبُ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ, except to know who's going to follow the messenger and who's going to turn on his heels and do i'rad anhu, and to turn away from the truth. He said, وَإِنْ كَانَتْ لَكَبِيرَةً إِلَىٰ عَلَى الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ. He's saying that it was that is very difficult and severe, except for the person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given guidance, because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them with changing the qibla from Bayt al-Maqdis to the Haram in Mecca, the people, they just flipped over on the hills and they rejected it. And this is when كانت لكبيرة إلا على الذين هدى الله, and it's a very, very severe and difficult and hard for the person, except for the person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving. And the person that Allah has given guidance, he accepts it. Once the qibla changes, he changes. Just like the people in the salat, when it was announced to them that the qibla changed to Mecca, they changed. They switched. They switched directions while they were praying. He said, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He said, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to waste. He used the word iman. Yudi'a imanakum. It means that the actions that you've done, before the prayers, the salat that you prayed before the people, because certain people died before the qibla changed. And their companions, they were worried about them. Said, what about these people? They died while we were still praying to Bayt al-Maqdis. He said, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ, to leave their actions without reward, that they will be rewarded for everything that they did, because they were in obedience at the time. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word imanakum for what? Salatakum. So it shows that iman is used for actions. It's not just just only the belief in the heart. And we also see that in the hadith of Abi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, in which he said, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الإيمان بضع وسبعون أو بضع وستون شعبة فأفضلها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدناها إماطة الأذى عن الطريق والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. So here he said that, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he reported that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said that Iman has over 70 branches or over 60, difference of narration. And he said, فَأَفْضَلُهَا, and the highest, the highest and the best of those branches is a statement of what? قَوْلُ لَا إِلَهِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Is that not an action? So these are the branches of Iman. Is that not an action? And then he said, وَأَدَنَاهَا, and he said the lowest of Iman, the lowest branch is إِمَاطَةُ الْأَذَى عَنِ الطَّرِيقِ, is to raise, to take some harm out of the pathways for the Muslim. Now this can be used for something that's like literal and metaphorical. Literal, and like you're actually, you find some glass or some nails in the pathway of a Muslim and you take that out. You pick it up and you take it out of the path so it doesn't bring any harm to the people. And metaphorical, not metaphorical, but what they call in Arabic, they say hissi wal ma'nawi. Hissi, it means concrete, something that you can perceive with your, you can feel it. Al-ma'nawi is something that's more abstract and that you can't perceive it, but it's there and you know it. And this is the imatatul adha. It's to remove the harm of the path of the believers, and that you warn them against bid'ah, and you warn them against all the, the sins, and you warn them against the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're taking all the harm that these kuffar and these misguided people, they're putting in the path, they're putting in these subul, and the pathways of the Muslims to take them away from the correct guidance, and you're removing that from the path. So you go back and you teach the Muslims and you warn the Muslims against this danger. And this is very, very important. And this is one of the, just like you should remove something physical from the path, you should also remove this stuff from the path of the Muslim. That you're warning the people against bid'ah, you're warning the people against shirk, you're warning the people against disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sins, and all of this foolishness that you see happening today. And you remove those harms from the paths of the believers. And this is al-ma'na, the ma'na al-ma'nawi, so this is more abstract. So in the end, the mur'jiah, these are the people that say what? No matter what the person does, no matter what sin he commits, his iman is like the iman of Jibril, as long as he believes in his heart. And like I said, you see this amongst so many people today. Although they don't use the name al-mur'jiah, just like the people that have the belief of the Mu'tazila, they don't call themselves Mu'tazili, today. And then the people that have, even the Rafidah, they don't call themselves Rafidis, do they? So, but they know who we're talking about when we talk about them, mashallah. And, so, Allah musta'an. So this type of belief, it exists amongst the Muslims today, and this is why we have to teach the people that this is complete misguidance. We have the khawaarij, we can see that dhahiran, we can see that completely in front. Like, you don't even have to search for that. You can find that easily throughout social media today with all the people making takfir, and they spend all the time talking about the rulers. Rulers this and rulers. Man, your whole dawah is about rulers. That's it. And then they sit there and talk about us and try to say that we politicize it. We focus on teaching the people the deen. Focus on teaching the people tawheed. The rulers are going to answer for their sins. And any dhulm that they've done to us, we're going to get that. We're going to get it back on the day of judgment. We're just patient, and we you know what I'm saying? We tell the people to remain patient. Because this is what the Sahaba did. This is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. You got the hadith of Anas ibn Malik when they went to him complaining about a Hajjaj. And what did he tell him? He said, Isbiru. He told him, be patient. Yeah, Hajjaj, he was one of the biggest oppressors known in Islamic history. Hajjaj would kill you for nothing. So Allah musta'an. Any disagreement with Hajjaj is a death sentence. So the point is that, we encourage the people to be patient. Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that. Man ya'ish minkum ba'di fasayara ikhtilafan kathira. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that. He warned us against this. Well, why are y'all surprised? Why are y'all shocked now that the rulers in the last days, they're committing sins? Yeah, the rulers have always committed sins. And the ulama have always told the people to be patient. Focus on learning your deen. Focus on practicing your deen. They're gonna get it on the day of judgment. If they did all that and they oppressed the Muslims, then khalas, they're going to get it. So, alhamdulillah, we all gone through some type of, anybody that's lived in the Muslim lands has felt some type of oppression. It happens, but we're patient. And as us learning our deen and us living amongst the Muslims is more important to us than anything else. And these people, they want to sit in the lands of the kuffar and they want to complain about Muslim governments. These types of khawaarij, you see this all the time. But then they want to talk about us, Salafis, all they do is talk about this. And ya akhi wallahi, find one audio from anyone from amongst Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah defending the rulers. We don't defend anybody. We tell the people not to speak about them. That it's not from our deen to run around and talk about them because it brings fasad fi bilad al-Muslimin. It causes corruption in the Muslim lands. We watched it. I was in Yemen in 2011. I watched the effects of the Arab Spring, so they called it. I watched it. I was there for it. So you're not gonna come here and say, we're just trying to. No, now look at Yemen. Yemen has not been the same since 2011. Complete destruction. And now who controls the northern part of Yemen? The same place where they were doing all those protests? Who controls it? The Rafidis. People that are insulting the Sahaba. But these khawaarij, they're pleased with that. They're pleased with that. So Allah musta'an. I'm sorry, akhi, I would rather, have a Muslim that rules over me that's probably from the most afsaq nas is better than to have a Rafidi. Rafidi min akfar nas. Min akfar min Yahud wa Nasara. They insult the companions of the Prophet. And they don't mind having these people go and rebel against the government. And that's who was rebelling. The people that started the whole revolution in 2011 in Yemen, the Ikhwani Muslimin and the Rafidis. They united together to get rid of Ali Abdullah Saleh. And then they fought against each other, and who got control? The Ikhwanis in Turkey run around, like running scared because they couldn't fight against the Houthis. And now the Houthis control Yemen. That's your natija. That's your result of rebellion. And in the times of Ali Abdullah Saleh, wallahi, akhi, anybody could go in the masjid. Ahl Sunnah was free to go around and teach in all the different masajid, free to teach here. Now go to Sana'a. Open up a masjid and start teaching the Sunnah and see all the issues that you have to deal with. Brothers were fighting in the masjids with the Houthis. Fighting. They were getting into fights, because the Houthis are trying to put a khatib into a masjid and this was happening in Sa'wan. And come on. All of this because of what? Because the people wanted to rebel and revolt against the government. Man, this is what we're against. We're not sitting there saying that the rulers are perfect. They're not perfect. They're sinful and they're gonna answer for their sins. But we don't speak about it. We don't go around like sitting there trying to publicize this because there's no benefit. There's no benefit. The only benefit that can come about is through these khawaarij when they sit there, look at this, they're doing this, look at this, they're doing that. Just to what? To cause rebellion in the Muslim lands so it could cause a complete destruction of the Muslim lands. And then everything ends up in the end getting handed over to the Rafidah, like you see, over and over and over again. Wallahi, these khawaarij, they never get any nasr. What did they do in Syria? They went there and made takfir of everybody, fought everything and did everything. What happened? The Rafidis ended up stronger in Syria and Iran and all these places because of them. Whereas like the Rafidis were fighting against Ahl Sunnah in Yemen, getting their heads busted, akhi. They were getting their heads busted in Yemen. Even though they outnumbered Ahl Sunnah by a large number with weapons and everything and soldiers and military strategy. And they brought people from Lebanon to lead and people from Iran. Come on. And they still got their heads busted by Ahl Sunnah. But then you go to look at what happened in Syria. Look at what happened in all these places where the khawaarij go and try to do their thing. It's never any nasr from these people. Well, the situation for the Muslims always ends up worse than it was before it started. So no, I mean, we implore the people, be patient. Be patient. Focus on learning your deen. Our nasr, the nasr that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us through the practice of this deen. Not through revolutions and rebellions and all this type of foolishness. Allah musta'an. You want to listen to those khawaarij, you want to fall into, but you're going to be held, Allah musta'an. Nothing but nadama. You're going to have nothing but regret being around them in the end. Nothing but regret. Nothing but regret. Allah musta'an. Wa ilahuna subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.